Hi, I'm Marsh from StrataGames, and today we're playing some Gruul Ponza. This is not a deck I've played before. I have played some Gruul monsters, and I like it pretty well, but usually I'm not that much of a land destruction fan. However, with the newly unbanned Bonder's Ornament, I've been trying to think of places for this card to go. A lot of the ones that make the most sense are hard control decks, and I've tried that already in a few decks. But I saw some people playing it in Ponza, and I thought this actually might be the perfect spot for it. Not only is this a deck that can already take advantage of the ramp, but it's a deck that runs out of cards very quickly, and so having some way to refill can be really nice. Now, we could just be playing this in Gruul monsters, which I think might be okay, but to be honest, I think it might make a little bit more sense in the Ponza deck, because as your opponent stumbles when you destroy their lands, that gives you plenty of time, if you need to be able to use the Ornament to draw cards, where if you're just doing the Gruul ramp version, and you're using Bonder's Ornament instead of deploying threats, and you haven't hit their lands at all, it's not going to be as effective because they're going to still be able to proactively do things. So to that end, we are playing 4 Mon Volley Acid Moss, 4 Thermokarst, 3 Ram Through. This is our interaction here. Our giant creatures we're ramping into are Avenging Hunter, Writhing Chrysalis, Annoyed Altasaur, and Boarding Party. And we're doing that with Arbor Elf, Utopia Sprawl, Wild Growth, and of course the Ornaments. I should also mention this is a 5-0 list that I found from Terracotta 99. Whole bunch of forests, 1 of mountain, and a wooded ridgeline. And in our sideboard, 4 Red Elemental or Pyroblasts, 3 Cast into the Fire, 2 Breath Weapon, 3 Weather the Storm, and 3 Relics of Progenitus. So let's take this for a league and see how we do. Thanks to Card Market for sponsoring this video. I've written a comprehensive guide on how to play White Weenie in Pauper, including my ideal stock list, over 30 sideboard matchups, and a sideboard cheat sheet, which gives you a very easy snapshot view and what to sideboard for every single matchup. I also have guides for Black Sack and Esper Affinity. Each guide is only $15, and if you buy one, you will get all future updates that I ever make to that guide for free. I also offer coaching, so if you're interested in upping your Pauper game for any of the decks that I'm very proficient in, or if you're interested in having me play your deck in a future video, you can do a deck donation, which is the only way you'll ever see me playing Cycle Storm or Flickertron. Alright, we're on the draw here, and we have triple Bonder's Ornament immediately, which looks a little awkward, but we can actually go Arbor Elf into an Ornament. Then the next turn we have 1, 2, 3, 4... If I draw a land, I can actually play 2 more Ornaments, and then I can Altasaur. I think we're going to keep it. It looks a little weird. Obviously not as strong ramp as like a Wild Growth or anything, because it's much more expensive and doesn't ramp us more than 1, but we'll give it a try here. We do get a land, so we can cast our Ornament. Looks like we are against Affinity, so our Thermokarsts and Acid Moss might not be that effective, but we got some Cast in the Fire in the sideboard. Yeah, so if they don't kill the Arbor Elf, I can double Ornament here. Thermokarst not looking great in the face of their indestructible lands. And like, double Ornament's not the best thing. I'd much rather be playing, you know, some creatures, but this will allow us to play creatures next turn. We have the mana to Altasaur. And a turn 4 Altasaur is nothing to scoff at, even if we've done basically nothing else. They play a bridge and just pass, so they're not doing too much either. Although they're going to cam to tap down our Arbor Elf in the upkeep. It's a little annoying. I think I just let it go. If I get a land, I can still play the Altasaur or like a Boarding Party or something. And if not, I'll just probably use an Ornament anyway to draw a card. Avenging Hunter is good enough. Nice that they didn't have any refurbs or anything to make this worse. Play a Forest and pass. They have a refurb. Obviously going to take the Thermokarst. Probably don't have another because they would have played one last turn. They play a 1-mana Enforcer, 0-mana Enforcer. Pass the turn. So I could Lost Well and try to set up our Altasaur. I could also just Forge. Forging Hunter makes it big enough to block an Enforcer. I don't know if you can hear the rain. It's coming down pretty hard out there. But they could just have a Galvanic Blast for the Hunter, or they could tap it down. I could put the counters on the Arbor Elf, but that doesn't really block an Enforcer, so it's probably counters on Hunter or Scry. I think we're going to go for Scry here. Perfect. So we'll put the Boarding Party underneath the Forest. So I will Cascade into it, because I'll draw the Forest for turn. So Altasaur into Boarding Party, into something random, and Arbor Elf. I think we attack with the Boarding Party and the Hunter. It's a lot of damage to leave back. And if they take it all and then try to just take like the initiative from us, I mean, we have a Reacher here and it's big enough to block these guys, so they have to commit some removal or something to it. And if they just block a bunch here, then it's hard for them to take the initiative. I mean, they could block, trade, sack the cam to tap the Altasaur, take the initiative, but like, then I still get to just crack them back for like 8, so that's not that bad either. Just going to block the boarding party and sack the Enforcer. So they gain 7. They don't get to trade with the boarding party, but did gain a lot of life. They have a Blood Fountain and a Krark. I mean, if they have Toxin, I guess they don't even need Toxin. They could just sack 5 artifacts. They can wipe the whole board and then use Refurb to take the initiative. That's pretty bad. They can sacrifice 1, 2, 3, maybe 2 lands to keep the fountain, or just one of the fountains, or the fountain for one of the lands. Yeah, they are going for it. If we can top deck like a boarding party or something, we might be in a okay spot. If not, we got the Bonder's Ornaments to draw, but that's it. They did keep the fountain, and they have an offering for the Krark. A bargain. Yeah, I mean, not great. Acid Moss. I mean, we can blow up a furnace, but they did fail to find a basic land, so it might be better to hit the furnace. They do have the initiative going, though, and I don't get to Ornament then. If I draw a land from the Ornament, I do get to cast it. So I think we're going to go for that. Like, if we draw a land, we can cast the Acid Moss. And if we draw, which is not my favorite, but it's better than nothing, and then we can... I mean, it's not the worst. We can draw 2 off the Ornaments now. Plus, we just have a lot of mana to work with. They're certainly going to scry here, I assume. Unless they're just going to try to rely on 1 Refurb and Forge and Trap and such. No, they're going to scry. 1 top, 1 bottom. Ultra Monitor. Swing for 2. We get a Forest. Let's draw a card. Arbor Elf. Great. I guess we'll draw a card. Utopia Sprawl. We'll play an Arbor Elf. I mean, the Ornaments are keeping us, like, in the game. But obviously, if these were just 3 creatures earlier, we might have already won the game. They're going to go to the Arbor Elf, which means that they can cross over to the draw card. It doesn't really matter because I can just tap the Arbor Elf, so it doesn't have to attack. Which actually means they have to leave back a blocker. I guess they would anyway, so I couldn't take the initiative. Swing for 5, so I assume they have another blocker. Or they just don't care if I take the initiative. Thermokarst, perfect. We'll go for a Sprawl on red, or green, actually. Draw off the Ornament. Drawn pretty poorly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I can't Thermokarst and Ornament unless I don't use the Arbor Elf, but I would like to, or unless I use it for mana, but I would like to attack. Either get the initiative for a turn, or they have to, like, bolt it or something. Alright, we take it. Actually, if I get a treasure off the stash, then that should let me Thermokarst and Ornament. Yeah, so let's Ornament first. See if I draw, like, a Repurposer or something I want to play. Nope, more land. Why not? And we'll blow up the Great Furnace. I assume they'll crack the Fountain. I think that's been 7 or 8 draws in a row that have been either land, mana, or like ramp, or land destruction. Not a single good creature. So that's been a bit unfortunate. Maybe if I get lucky with like another Altasaur into boarding party, I can survive, but we're down to 6 here, so it seems unlikely. Another Monitor. Now we get a Chrysalis. Let's draw a card. We get a Wild Growth. Let's draw another card, I guess. We get a Utopia Sprawl. I can play Chris, block, block, block. Take 5. I guess I'm technically not dead. Red. Play Chris. Forest, pass. Oh, they do go to the throne, which is pretty good. They got a Mirror Enforcer, and they got a Krark. Alright, if they sack 5 artifacts, they can wipe the Chrysalis and get in with just the flyers. I guess they just sacrificed 1, and then they can get in with the Enforcers anyway. Alright. Well, that was very unlucky. We had a decent start, and then we drew so poorly. 3 casts in the fire. I kind of think that's it. Probably instead of Thermokarsts. It's the cheaper one, but it's the one that doesn't do anything else, and frankly, Relic might be better too than that. Just because this at least ramps us, and since it is later, it's more likely that they've played a untapped artifact land that I can actually blow up. Alright, we got Just one land. That's not going to work. This one's better. Keep, and we need another land or ramp or something. Probably just get rid of the Acid Moss because they're probably going to be able to dodge it. And we already have other 4/4s, or 4-drops rather, to play. There's a bridge. We draw a land, not the worst. I would have preferred like a repurposer or something that would let us play a 3-drop here and then also a Chrysalis next turn, but it's better than just drawing like 6 drops. They play a Blood Fountain and a bridge. We'll play Chris. Drew a forest, so I guess next turn I could play another Chris and Hunter. If we want. That's a little all-in considering there could be a Krark. So I might just do the Hunter. They play a Wellspring. We get an Acid Moss. So if I Chris and then Hunter, it's really bad against a Krark Toxin, but growing the Chris's is actually better against a Krark without Toxin. And it just hits harder. I think we're going to go for it and just hope for the best. We don't really have a way around the Krark Toxin anyway. So grow our whole team, play an Avenging Hunter, search up our mountain, and swing for 6. I guess if they do Krark Toxin, at least we have the initiative to scry to help us find something good next turn, maybe a boarding party. If they don't have it, we just have them, like, not dead necessarily if they have blockers and, like, Reckoner's Bargains, but, like, in a pretty decent spot. Might have been worth just taking out all the Acid Mosses, even for, like, subpar cards, just because of their bridges. They have a Cast Down, okay. Not something they always have in that deck. So I have to decide if I want to forge. I could forge onto the Hunter, which they currently can't Galv Blast, but they could have a Toxin for the Enforcer, which means they'd already be trading with it, so that's a bit of a waste in that case. But it gets me to Trap and then Archive, which is good, but Scry 2 kind of feels better here. I could find a Cast on the Fire, I could find a Boarding Party, so I think we're going to Scry. We found double Boarding Party. Well, unfortunately, the second one's not going to matter, because we're going to Cascade through it. And since they were both there, I kind of wish we forged, but can't change that now. Here's a Boarding Party into an Arbor Elf. Good news here is that they have to block. I guess they could have a Red Elemental Blast, but if they don't have a Red Elemental Blast, they have to block with the Enforcer, which means they can't get the initiative. So that's something. They do have the Toxin Analysis, as anticipated. Probably block Chris then, just because it's the biggest. They take 11, but gain 4, so they're at 7. We don't have a trap coming, but obviously it would have worked out better to do the Forge here, but I still think we made the right call. Crack a Clue token. Utra Monitor. We can Stash or Goad. Goad doesn't matter because this is probably going to block. Stash would give us 9 mana. That doesn't really matter either. I guess we'll Stash because the 4/1 is plus a treasure is probably fine. They have a Sewer Valence Cam. That's always annoying. Well, we'll swing with just the Boarding Party, see if they want to trade or go to 1. They do choose to go to 1. We will Acid Moss their seat. And I could play an Arbor Elf, but the mana's kind of irrelevant, and if they do get a Krark, I probably want to follow it up with a creature, so we're not going to do that. Blood token away a land. They are going to swing for 3. Take the initiative, but they're still not playing a basic. Another Monitor. They could like flash in a cam and have like a Galv Blast or something. Or I guess they could just have like a Reckoner's Bargain. That would work. But I think we're going to get rid of the Utra Monitor because it blocks the Boarding Party for 6 damage. So they could have a Reckoner's Bargain here, go up to 6, but then they need to find like even a Galv Blast or a Sewer Valence doesn't do it because they're still just at 6 and I have 6 damage. Yep, they're going to go for it. All right, we take that game, getting a little close there. I feel like the Acid Mosses are probably just worse than Relics, and, you know, they probably play enough blue spells now with Utrums and stuff that, like, and Sewer Valence that these are fine. Worse things to Cascade into, but, well, in general worse, but not if they have all indestructible lands anyway. This will probably be the game where they just have a bunch of untapped lands, but whatever. Alright, I can Sprawl turn 1, we are on the draw, they're on a mulligan, and then I can Cast in the Fire on turn 2, worst case. But even if I draw another land and I Bonder's Ornament, I'm still so far away from my big guys. I think I gotta mulligan this. I mean, this one doesn't look great, but 4 mana, I can stall them, plus a ram through. Maybe I just get rid of the ram through, actually, just hit land drops. This way I can cast just about anything. I think we're going to keep it. It's not very good, but we really don't want to mulligan to 5, I don't think. Another Sprawl. Go on red. Boarding Party. Sprawl again. I guess we'll do red again in case I get like another cast. I am going to cast in the fire. We're going to do it in their upkeep, though. So they have to use mana on their turn if they want to do anything about it. Try to get rid of their bridge. So if they have a Fanatical Offering, Reckoner's Bargain, or even a Blue Blast, they have to use the mana now. Okay, it just works. They do tap a blue in case they want to do something with that, but no. They already didn't have red mana, which is decent. They do have another Mistfall Bridge. 5-drop would be great here. Okay. We do have the Boarding Party next turn, but just a little awkward that all we're doing this turn is Arbor Elf. Another cast on the fire would have been decent there, but whatever. Now there's a Silver Bluff Bridge. Chrysalis. Untap here. So we can cast Chrysalis and then Boarding Party into a Utopia Sprawl. Swing for 6. They're going to cast down the Chrysalis. Thoughtcast. Thoughtcast again. And we get a Forest. I mean, I guess I shouldn't be complaining. We're already doing well, but the cam makes it so that, like, we're doing decent if we can hit for 7 this turn. The fact that we're not, and we're hitting for 1, pretty bad. Wellspring. Here comes the Quirk. And we draw a Forest. They sack 3 artifacts, including 2 lands, to wipe the board. Play a Forest and pass. Volta Whispers and pass. We'll play an Arbor Elf. They can crack their cam to draw 2. There's a Refurb. Takes a Forest and a Monitor. Enforcer. Finally we get something. Annoyed Altasaur. To a Bonder's Ornament is not terrible. I might as well draw from it now just in case I get like an Arbor Elf I want to play. Or a Wild Growth. Probably have enough mana that I'd rather just hold that in case they have another Refurb. Sewer Valence Cam. They attack for 9. Ram through. Let's draw off the Ornament. We get more Wild Growths. Why not? I guess I go to combat, because then they're going to crack the cam, probably. Probably want to ram through the... Refurb deals them the most damage. They would take 5 down to 8. That's not really that good. I guess we take the Monitor out because it's the most damage that I can't otherwise block. So we'll do that. And I'm going to attack for 1. This is 6 damage, so I'm not dead to 1 Galv Blast. If they have double Galv Blast, so be it. But I don't think I'm chump blocking anyway. Not this turn. There's 1 Galv Blast. Swing for 6. And there's the second. I think we got very unlucky there, but what are you going to do? We're on the draw, but we have Thermokarst starting on turn 2. So I think we keep this. Ooh, we actually get the Arbor Elf. But they're red. If I play Arbor Elf, I feel like it gets killed immediately with like a Lava Dart or something. So I think I should actually go for the Sprawl here. If they're Mono Red Madness, like, yeah, the blowing up lands can be pretty relevant. There's a Flame Breather. Boarding Party. I think we're just going to Thermokarst, and the next turn I can Arbor Elf and Thermokarst. I could have played Arbor Elf this turn, and if it doesn't die, I can Boarding Party next turn, but there's just very little guarantees. They start with the Faithless Looting, which might be to look for lands. That'd actually be pretty good for us, especially if they don't hit, and we can blow up the last one they have. Discards Fire Blast and Lava Dart. They do find a mountain. Swing for 1. Alright, so we are going to Thermokarst their mountain here. If they're smart, they're going to just Lava Dart us with the land that's being destroyed. Well, if they're smart, / if they don't want to use it for any other reason. I kind of wanted them to, because then they wouldn't be able to kill this Arbor Elf, but at least not with that Lava Dart. But, I don't know. Looks like they're getting enough mountains anyway. Attack for 1. They plot a Highway Robbery. They let us have the Arbor Elf. Alright, we're going to Sprawl for green. Tap, untap, tap. We're just going to go for the Altasaur since it's more expensive. An Acid Moss is pretty good when we've already blown up 2 of their lands. This, I guess they could fizzle with the Lava Dart, and then we wouldn't get to search for a basic. Alright. And they're killing the Arbor Elf. Part of why I wanted to do the more expensive one. So I guess it was probably in their best interest to hold it, but that was only if they had more lands. If they didn't have more lands, I think they probably should have used it, but whatever. In either case, they do have a robbery. Wonder if they want to sack a land. Fiery Temper. We go to 11. I mean, we are taking a lot of damage, but luckily now I can ram this through. Which we get the forest, so I could boarding party. On one land, do I think I'm going to die from 11? Probably not. I think we're going to go for it, even though maybe it's definitely safer to ram through. But I think we'll just swing all out and watch as they probably draw Mountain, double Lightning Bolt, Fire Blast or something. Faithless Looting, double Snacker. All right, we can just ram through here and then hit for 12. All right, Ponza plan working pretty well there. We get Weather the Storm and maybe Relics. I mean, we did need multiple land destruction spells, but I think it's still probably worth it. I think the Ornament plan is probably worse in this matchup just because it's like so much of just a race between us. Altasaur is just more expensive and doesn't have haste, so I think maybe we just do that. Maybe the Relics are only okay and not as good as Altasaur's, but I don't know. All right, well, we got a bunch of ramp, maybe too much, but we again have turn 2 Thermokarst and then a Chrysalis, which is pretty hard for them to kill, so I think that seems decent enough. We don't need red this turn. I'm going to start with a Wild Growth because they could play Raise from the sideboard, which is 1 mana, sack a land, blow up a land, in which case we'll lose this. It's kind of goofy because like it's self Ponza, but also obviously makes it so that we can't Ponza them. But yeah. All right, we get Arbor Elf. So I'd probably just Sprawl and then Thermokarst. I could just play... Well, I could have put this on green or did a Wild Growth and then done all 3 of these. I think the land is pretty good to get rid of, though, early, because if they are stuck on 2 lands, then it's harder for them to do much. This is a pretty good start for them because they just have an aggressive attack plan, and there's a looting. Discards Lava Dart and Fiery Temper. Could definitely use a Weather the Storm. I'm pretty sure I could just gain 12 off of it right now. Forest. Yeah, I mean, honestly, I could Wild Growth Utopia Sprawl, but I don't need that much mana. Well, I guess they're probably going to kill the Arbor Elf, so it would... All right, yeah, we're going to do this. So I was going to say that I could just hold these for if I do draw Weather the Storm, but they already have a Lava Dart and obviously just pretty easy ways to kill Arbor Elf. And so it's probably better we just have the mana for if we do draw an Annoyed Altasaur or something. Although I guess the spawns could already have let us do that. I don't know. They have a Gutter Snipe. They are going to shoot the Arbor Elf. And then no attacks. So we're not dead yet, but that's not helping us much. We'll play that and pass. Flashback a looting. And there's a Fire Blast. All right, we're dead. Yeah, not great follow-up. I think we're just going to send it back. We have an Arbor Elf into a Thermokarst, but if Arbor Elf gets picked off, that's not great. We do have a Relic, I guess. I don't know, we'll keep it. They mulligan once. We're going to play the Arbor Elf. And they do bolt it. A little annoying. We do get a Forest. So I can Thermo them next turn. They immediately have a grab the prize with a Snacker. This is what Relic's here for, so I'm just going to crack it, draw a card. We get more forests. I'll blow up a land. They have another land. Here's a Flame Breather. I get a Wild Growth. I really wish that was a Utopia Sprawl for red, because can't do anything with only green mana. Swing with the Flame Breather. And they just play a Gutter Snipe. Acid Moss, I guess is okay. Assuming they don't Fire Blast us in response, I can search for a red source. I feel like they very well might Fire Blast in response, though. Okay, they don't. I could untap it, but that's only 2 mana, so I can't do anything with it. They can attack for 3. I can't really stop it. Don't think chump blocking is the way to go. Flame Breather. Okay, we do get a ram through. That's nice. I can kill the Gutter Snipe. So, boarding party then. Just for the most high roll potential. Weather the Storm. Well, I wish I had gotten this after the ram through was cast, but I couldn't have done that because I needed the boarding party on the field. But honestly, gaining 6 is not that bad. In fact, it's pretty good. I'm going to swing because now that we're going to kill the Gutter Snipe, just the 2 Flame Breathers attacking in isn't that scary. And I want to lay down the pressure on them. They could have a Fire Blast to kill the boarding party, I guess, but then they're out of lands. We do take 4 from it, and they can attack for 4. But it feels like that's not going to win the game for them unless it goes really long. They do have another mountain. Swing for 2. Epicure. Fiery Temper. That's 5 to us, so we're at 12. We get another ram through. Alright. Kind of wish this boarding party had trample for multiple reasons, but we'll swing at both. If they want to trade with the Arbor Elf, they take 6. So yeah, I didn't think they'd want to do that. But we do deal them 1. We'll kill another Flame Breather, or another Pinger, I suppose. Faithless Looting into a Fiery Temper. We go to 7. We just get a Forest. I'm going to attack with all of these, including the Arbor Elf. Theoretically, if they think we're running a Lightning Bolt, they could like be scared that this could be 10 and then 3. And the Arbor Elf just doesn't seem that necessary here. They're not scared, apparently. Gonna sack 1 spawn to make it 9 so that the Chris can be lethal next turn. Pass, hope we don't die. Flashback Looting. Discard 2 mountains. They have no attacks. Past us, all we get is a Sprawl. I'm going to swing. I assume they have like a Bolt for the boarding party to survive. Or maybe a Fire Blast. But then they got to chump the other one. They block the boarding party. So I'm going to have to sack the spawn to deal lethal. They could have like a Fire Blast in response on the Chrysalis, which they do. But I still force them to chump, and it's better than them still having the Fire Blast, because if I just dealt them down to 1, then they could have Fire Blast and thrown it at me, and all they would need to draw is a Lightning Bolt, whereas now, I know they didn't have 6 damage last turn, so they have to draw 2 removal spells, or 2 burn spells, which seems unlikely. Alright, we win the match. That was a close one. Alright, we have 5, 6, 7, and I have 4 mana. So it's a slow and unreliable curve starting at 5. So I think I'm going to mulligan that one. This one is about the same, although we have things we can actually play. So I think I keep this one because I don't want to go too low and we just get rid of the Altasaur. We're on the draw, so I can maybe get like a Wild Growth right away for some more ramp. That would be nice because that would be a turn 2 Ornament, turn 3 Acid Moss instead of just turn 3, turn 4. No, we get a ram through. Looks like we might be against like Boros Synth or something. No, Thrilling Discovery. So it could be, I mean, it's probably Boros Eidolons or whatever. Double Snacker on turn 2 is pretty good. And of course, now we get the Sprawl. This Avenging Hunter looks pretty bad. I feel like we have to get like a Chrysalis or something. Otherwise, we're just going to lose to the Snackers in like, what, 5 turns, I guess, but still. And they just have a Tireless Tribe, so maybe we'll just lose to that. Faithless Looting. 2 Eidolons in the graveyard. There's a Garrison we can blow up, which is kind of our only saving grace. If they have Inside Out, we still just lose. But I guess we are going to attempt to do the thing of blowing this up. We ramp a little bit. Accidentally forget to grab or press 1 through grabbing a land. But let's be honest, we're probably dead anyway. Spirit Mascot. Attack for 5. I guess we're not dead that turn. Boarding Party. We didn't grab a land, so I can't Boarding Party. Avenging Hunter just is bad. All right, well, I don't think Boarding Party would have saved us there anyway. Cascade into Avenging Hunter. It would have been okay, but kind of want to bring in Cast in the Fire just so I can get rid of 2 early Snackers. I think that's probably not the best. Land Destruction seems like it would be decent. Ram Through's decent as well. Not amazing. I guess Avenging Hunter seems a little bad. I don't know. I haven't played enough against this deck to really know. First time playing Ponza against this deck too, so definitely have no idea how to side. Here we got the Arbor Elf into a turn 3 Acid Moss, which finds us a turn 4 Boarding Party. I guess that's good enough, although hope our Arbor Elf doesn't get bolted or anything. They play Sejiri Step. We get a Forest, and we'll attack for 1. Televise, we have no 3-drops to play. There's Tireless Tribe. And a Boros Garrison I get to blow up. I guess that's something. And we don't have to be worried about the Inside Out here, because they're going to have no mana left. And I'll make sure not to click the wrong button to actually grab our Ridgeline. They play Sejiri Step. Swing for 1. Another Acid Moss. Is that better than just playing a Boarding Party? Probably not. I think we Boarding Party, although if we don't get a creature... Well, we got a Thermokarst anyway, perfect. I was going to say, if we don't get a creature, I might have to leave the Boarding Party back, because they could Inside Out. But I'll swing for 6. They play a Mountain. I will swing with the boarding party, see if they want to like discard a couple cards to block this and not lose their guy. They don't. They take 6. I will play an Acid Moss. Keep their land count to be 0. Look, we are so villainous, denying them the very foundation of the game we're playing. All right, well, that worked. Let's try it again, I suppose. All right, here we have Relic and a turn 3 Bonder's Ornament, and that's it. These opening hands have been pretty rough. I don't think I can keep that. All right, here I have Sprawl into a turn 2 Ornament into a turn 3 Acid Moss. I want to keep the boarding party, but it's a lot less reliable than the Chrysalis. I could just keep Chrysalis and boarding party, but I feel like I kind of want the Acid Moss to like stop them. Also, they mulligan to 5, so I feel like Acid Moss is probably pretty good. We'll keep the Chris, and if we draw another boarding party or something, it's better. They mulligan to 4. That is going to be tough. Another Acid Moss. Let's go for red here. They have a Tireless Tribe. Luckily, I don't think I have to fear it that much because they don't have enough cards, unless they have the perfect cards. I think if they have 2 Eidolons and an Inside Out, they can discard both, Inside Out, draws a card, and then they could go up to 20, yeah. They just pursue the past, discarding a Faithless Looting, and attack for 1. Looks like they didn't find a land. We get a Wild Growth, so we will proceed to blow up their Crag, grab a Ridgeline, and pass. They swing for 1, and we get a Thermokarst. Let's play Chris into Acid Moss. They said they're going to unsub for this. This is why we can't play Ponza, you know? Because then we lose subscribers. We get a Relic. How much mana do we have? 7. Let's play an Altasaur. We get a Ram through. We'll force them to discard a card to keep it alive, or if they don't, no permanents on the board. That's pretty brutal. All right. We finally have a pretty good one, except that this is a tap land. So we do that on turn 1, then turn 2, Arbor Elf. So it's not really that good. But if it was a forest, it'd be pretty good. Our 1 tap land in the deck, although I guess if it was a mountain, it'd be pretty bad too. I think we're going to try this one. We need another land, but if we get there, it's pretty dang good. And just get rid of a boarding party. We're on the draw, so we have 2 shots to find it. If we do find it, then we just get to blow up all lands eternally. Although if they go fast enough, it might be problematic. But Tomb Raider is shut off if we can blow up their artifact lands, and we do get our forest, which is nice. But if they just have like Burning Tree into Rally, we're going to be dead too soon for it to matter. So that's a bit unfortunate. They play a mountain, Rally. Yeah, I don't think this is a matchup made for us. Look at this. Oh, let's blow up your land. We're dead. If we were on the play, then we would have won that game easily. We get breath weapons. Yeah, I mean, honestly, these don't do anything. I guess on the play they are decent, but Ram through is pretty bad too. Cast in the Fire is probably better. Actually, Cast is probably better than an Ornament too. What an unfortunate start. I mean, they had pretty close to the nuts, and we didn't interact with them at all. I mean, except for their land base, which just didn't matter. All right, let's see if on the play we can do things any better. We do have a turn 2 well, we look like we'd have a turn 2 Thermokarst, but we're getting screwed by our tap land yet again. I still think that we keep this. We have the Chrysalis, and we only need 1 more mana for it. They mulligan to 6. If we lose our Arbor Elf and don't draw our lands, we're going to be in a very bad spot. Speaking of, there's the elf dead. We do get a land, though. That's something. They got Burning Tree into Ginger Brute and Inventor's Axe. Okay. Not even just Rally, then. Well, we're going to blow up a land. That's all we have. And if we can get another land for Chris, we can be okay, maybe. They have a Tomb Raider. Attack for 7. Breath Weapon would be nice, too. Nope. Perfect. They attack for 7. And pass the turn. Now we get a forest. Doesn't matter. I can play Chrysalis. They can make this unblockable except for haste creatures. They had 2 very good starts, and we had 2 very medium starts. All right, this one is a mulligan. This one is a keep. I think we put back a forest because we already have enough mana. Assuming our Arbor Elf doesn't die, although more red does not bode well for that. Keep drawing this ridge line. Yep, elf down. There's a Flame Breather. We just get a forest, so we'll Wild Growth, play our Ridgeline. So I can Acid Moss and then Avenging Hunter, but pretty slow. They swing for 1. Grab the prize with a Fiery Temper for 7 damage. Boarding Party. We'll go for the Acid Moss. Hope they don't Lava Dart so I can get my land. Okay. I mean, that lets me boarding party next turn if I want to instead of the Hunter, assuming we're not already dead. Take one here. Go for a looting. They pass. Yeah, I'm going to go for the boarding party. Just more mana efficient. Kind of more damage. All right. Like, the boarding party is 6 and this is 5, but this gets the initiative going. But if we hit something like a Chrysalis, then this is definitely more damage. And we kind of need to kill him in like a turn. Otherwise, I think we're going to be dead. There's a Lava Dart. Flashback, looting. Snacker comes back. They flashback Lava Dart. They got a second one. I assume there's a Fire Blast or a Bolt or something. There it is. All right. We'll do the same plan as before. Relics and Weathers for Ornaments and a couple Altasaurs. This one's okay. Very reliant on our one land not being blown up. So again, I hope they don't have Raise. Oh, there's an Epicure. We're going to do red off of this and I guess more green. They swing for 1 and they got nothing. So I could play a Chrysalis. That means next turn I could like boarding party. But I could also Acid Moss, which keeps them down, makes it so there's no Gutter Snipe. I kind of like. I think I'll do that. There wasn't a Flame Breather, so Gutter Snipe's the main thing to be concerned about here. They do have a Fiery Temper, sure. Pass the turn. This also means I can like Chrysalis and hold up Weather from now on if I want. Swing for 1. They grab the prize of Searing Blaze. Ooh, Arbor Elf is kind of hard to pass up though. So I could Chris and Arbor Elf. I'm probably not going to die from 12 here, but not holding up the Weather is a little risky. Plus the Elf could just die, but it gives me 4 mana if it doesn't. I think we gotta go for it. They have the Searing Blaze, and they just played a land. Pass. We get a forest, so that means I can boarding party and then weather the storm. So let's do that. Cast an Arbor Elf. Swing for 10. They take it, and I guess I'll just weather it for 9. Like, I don't mind 9 life. Obviously, I wouldn't mind like a little bit more if they cast something, but feels too risky to just wait because they could just cast 1 spell and then it could deal me 3 damage. And then if they pass, then I don't want to use it. I don't know. 18's pretty healthy. They have to start chump blocking. They plot a robbery here. Cast Annoyed Altasaur. Ram Through's nice. No trample guys on the ground yet, but at least I get to kill the Flame Breather. They have to chump the boarding party. We're at 18, so I think we probably can't die. I guess if they get a Gutter Snipe, maybe they could have the right cards. Faithless, discard 2 Lava Darts. Gutter Snipe is 8, and then a couple Fire Blast. I don't know. Seems tough. They do discard 1 Lava Dart here, and they cast their Robbery, discarding another. All right, we win the game. Let's try to take down the match. Decent hand. So I could Sprawl, but then I don't have a 3-drop to play next turn anyway, so it doesn't really matter. I'd rather just play the Arbor Elf. Although I guess without drawing a forest, it's not going to be... I'm not going to be able to do a turn 2 Acid Moss or anything anyway. I assume it'll die, but at least we force them to use a bolt on it. There's a Flame Breather, Wild Growth. So I can Wild Growth here, and then Utopia Sprawl here. Alright, we'll pass. That means I can play my 4 drops next turn. I do have a land drop. So the Acid Moss is a little less appealing. Still pretty good. But I think we're going to go for the Chris because it gives me more mana, and it lets me ram through next turn, which is also pretty good. Actually, I can Avenging Hunter and then ram through, which tramples for a bit, because I can get a basic off of this, although I guess they could have a Fire Blast for this, and they can't for this. Start with a Sprawl. Green. Grow Chris. Cast Hunter. Forest. Swing. Deal them 3. We'll go to their upkeep. But yeah, I think I just want to shoot the Flame Breather with the Chris. Just make it a little bit harder. I'd rather kill this than get in the extra 2 damage, because I don't really need the damage. And yeah, they Lava Dart us for 2, and that's it. Okay. Grab the prize, discarding a Fire Blast. Play a Mountain. Plot a Highway Robbery. We have 9 damage, so we need 8. So seems like scrying. I could find maybe a boarding party, but that's only going to be 6. So I feel like if I forge, the only way that I really have to win here, on this turn that is like forge into draw the boarding party, which we didn't. But I did draw a land, so I can Altasaur and maybe find a boarding party. And we do find a boarding party, and that's lethal. Also, we find a Thermokarst. That's pretty good. Living the dream, as they say. All right, nice. way to finish off the league. Well, this deck's definitely a nice way to play a slightly faster league. I think Gruul monsters, you can do that too. But you can get a little bit more grindy, whereas the land destruction spells helps a little bit with that. Although I will say I think we went up against a lot of matches where the land destruction wasn't very good. Rally, which we lost to in probably like 4 minutes flat. 2 Mono Red Madness, where it's okay because they can use a lot of mana, but cutting them off just 1 probably isn't going to do that much. Affinity, where they have a lot of indestructible lands, and something else I can't remember. But I probably would stick with monsters. Oh, we went up against the Tireless Tribe, which we did actually crush because of land destruction. So that was our one match where the land destruction actually shined. The Bonder's Ornament seemed pretty good. We kind of drew it more in the early half of the league, not as much in the later half. It was drawing us some cards in some matches and was decent. I feel like what we drew in that first one where we activated them probably 5, 6, 7 times total. What we drew was not very good, but I feel like that was just a bit of unluckiness, whereas the fact that we were able to draw with them was pretty good. So I might still try them out in just a regular monsters as opposed to the Ponza build, because this doesn't really fit my playstyle. Even winning when we blow up all the lands against the tribe player doesn't feel that good to me. But it's an interesting card, and honestly, I don't think bad in this matchup. Maybe it's, in this deck that is, maybe it's not a 4 of, maybe it's like a 2 of, because as we saw in that first game, we don't really need 3 of them, but still definitely an interesting one to try out. Thanks so much to my supporters. If you want to support me on a monthly basis, you can check out my Metafy link down below, or you can do so by joining my YouTube memberships and see videos early. Thanks to my current $10 and up supporters, Howard Granger, JD NPX, Halkaz, Cody Cowell, DJ Vinyl, In Buns We Bust, Brotaku BC, Mr. Soleo, and Pella Dylan C. I really appreciate the support, and I will see you all next time.